What up, guys? Akasan here. I just got home about 2 minutes ago. Just watched a PewDiePie apology statement type video about 5 minutes ago when I was walking home. In short, he said all the right things that needed to be said. I wonder if he actually wrote it himself. I think somebody really got on him this time. His agent or somebody told him to say the right things. In short, I've been thinking about this the last couple of days ever since this situation dropped and such. And I mean, in short, to me, it's it's really a product of the gaming culture. I believe the online gaming culture, and I kind of thought about that. I mean, even from the beginning, that's why I wasn't so quick to denounce him or to revere him, PewDiePie, as a racist. Is he a dumbass? Yeah, he fucked up. He fucked up badly. But the entire gaming community is pretty fucked up. That's one of the biggest problems, is that it reminds me a long time ago, about 7 years ago, when I met this one fuck boy that would be on 4chan all day, and he didn't know how to detach himself from reality, 4chan, the stuff he hears and he does, and the stuff he sees on 4chan, and the way he should handle himself and conduct himself properly in the real world. And that's somewhat similar to this situation, and I kind of could feel that, the sincerity here from PewDiePie in what he was saying, and the fact that he's been horrified and revolted by the things he sees in the gaming community, and he reflected upon, and like he's starting to do it himself. I think YouTubers, in all form or fashion, sometimes we do get driven by our audience, our target audience, our demographic, to do things, act a certain way we shouldn't really act, but we know it gets us more subscribers, it gets us more viewers, and that sort of drive, that character we become, it's happened to a good amount of my YouTuber friends. Ryan Wright, a good example of that, who is now Greg Alba. The bigger people get, the more involved they get, the younger their fan get. Usually the bigger they get, it's also the younger their fan base also gets. It changes the talent. It changes the YouTuber, and you start becoming something that you sometimes can't really you don't really know who you are anymore. And that's not dismissing PewDiePie at all. That's not, I'm not exonerating him from the things that he's done, because he should have to pay for it. He has to take responsibility. There is nobody gets a free pass for using racial slurs. Nobody should ever get a free pass for doing anything, offending any sort of target audience, some sort of group, or just basically saying hateful things. There's always, you have the freedom of speech, but you don't have the freedom from the consequences of that. So whatever happens to him happens, and I don't know how many more times people can keep on giving him free passes or keep on letting things slide, which they don't, but how many chances people can get. But I also think his fan base the fan base needs to understand of how wrong it is to say something like that. The idea of that everybody says it in a gaming community, or if a black person says it, that doesn't mean anything. Two wrongs don't make a right. Just because one person does it, it doesn't mean that it's okay for one group to say it. If it were up to me, nobody should be saying that word. Nobody should even be saying the culturally acceptable one with the GA, the heavy GA, nigga, right? Nobody should be saying either one, honestly. And even in my own YouTube career and such, in comedy, I've used it a few times. Dave Chappelle has used it as well, and what have you not. But honestly, if it were culturally acceptable, it should all be obliterated from the beginning. But the usage of the GGA is in a way of taking power back from that horrid word, GER version, the hard R. But that's a topic for another day. In short, PewDiePie apologized. His video got taken down. There will be repercussions, I'm sure, but hopefully not for the rest of YouTube, which is what most YouTubers are worried about. I don't really care about, like, I've seen people try to piggyback off of this for views, and very hard African American type host trying to push this another way, and just in general. But no, the main point here is that and at least from my from my viewpoint here, is it's just stupid fucking gaming culture, ridiculous stuff that just happens to affect the number one YouTuber on YouTube making a stupid mistake. Just like I said, the 4chan guy just saying whatever spews into his mind, and he has to pay for that. And hopefully other YouTubers and gamers can learn from this, but probably not, to be honest. Probably not. Unless their money gets affected, probably not, because unfortunately that's the way the gaming culture is, to be hateful toward dropping racial slurs and being very explicit and disrespectful toward women online while gaming. And unfortunately, in time, fortunately, times have changed, at least for women, and it's gotten a lot less worse. But we still have a long way to go, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, Red Dread Nation, stand up, speak up. Let me know what you guys think about this particular situation. What do you feel about his particular response? Hopefully, as I said in my previous video, the ads are, we won't have another YouTube apocalypse, ad apocalypse. Hopefully everything will be all right, and this too shall pass. But as I've said also on Twitter, because regardless of who says it or drops a racial slur, it's not the idea. And this is one other thing I do want to point out, because a lot of this, I'm seeing this amount of people defending PewDiePie in the sense of saying it's just a word, get over it. It's not your word to get over. It's not your situation, your history, your story to be getting over it. If people get offended by it, they're getting offended for real. You can't just tell somebody not to get offended from it. I'm not offended by it. That word, especially the way he used it, has no power over me. But not getting offended over and actually wanting some sort of consequences for those actions is not the same as being offended by it. To just let something like that slide, and for somebody to get a free pass from saying a blatant racist slur, is like living in a way, is basically doing what we've been doing with Donald Trump for the last 6 months or so. Is, oh, okay, he's not a racist. He might say some racist things and some derogatory things toward a group, but he's not a racist. Giving those kind of passes allow the actual real racists to get away with anything, basically, and allows their powers to grow and such. To condemn those words is the right thing to do, regardless of who says it, because it really puts a stop to certain things and will hopefully show the next generation that we can be better, that there's a reason why you shouldn't be saying these words, and there's a certain way, a reason you shouldn't be acting a certain way professionally when you're around others. You know, this is YouTube. At one point, YouTube was the wild, wild west, but even YouTube has to grow up after 10 years. And that's where we are now, and that's the way we all should be, just getting a little more educated, a little more grown up, And especially when you're profiting from that, from entertaining people, entertaining younger kids, there has to be more responsibility involved. Okay? Again, take care of yourselves, and that's it for tonight. Have a good night, and I'll see you in the morning with more vlogs and commentary and other videos. Akasan's out. Peace, guys.